Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. Today we have a very exciting comic book, ELFQUEST #1 from Marvel and Epic Comics. This is Marvel's reprint of the amazing Wendy and Richard Pini ELFQUEST series from Warp Graphics through the Epic line of comic books. So I cannot wait to show this to you guys. It is so much fun. I've had a lot of ELFQUEST nostalgia lately, and always been one of my favorites. I have a huge place in my heart for it, and I cannot wait to look through this with you guys. So subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button, and let's get right into it. There are so many great things going on here. This is the first time I've looked at this in a long time. My channel's all about nostalgia and the comics I love, and very heavily John Byrne focused. So when I found a hidden gem of the John Byrne, ELFQUEST story, Hidden Years 9.5, and like another story he did with Wendy Pini, it kind of reignited my mad love for ELFQUEST. It was one of my favorites when I was little, and then, I had the opportunity to interview Wendy Pini, and that was so exciting, and so now I'm just like, ears deep in ELFQUEST again, let's put it that way. So, I know I have this in my collection, but I couldn't wait. So I got the first couple of issues on eBay. I got another series that I haven't read before coming up, so stay tuned for a lot of ELFQUEST material. But I was a fan of the black and white original books from Wendy and Richard Pini, Warp Graphics, so I was very excited, though, when Marvel was gonna, reprint these in color in a standard comic book size. So, comic books, Epic is the creator-owned line, so obviously, ELFQUEST stays with Wendy and Richard and gets published through Marvel. It's been since collected at DC. I love the irony of this. There's so many great things about this, because as I asked Wendy about this, and she said that they were thrilled, and it was so great to have Marvel produce this, and fun to see, like, in the, traditional comic book way. And it must have been so great, because Marvel and DC had originally both rejected ELFQUEST, and both wound up publishing it in various ways, shapes, or form. And Wendy and Richard retain their copy, their trademark, their ownership. So win-win all around, if you ask me. And plus, then Wendy and Richard, really put in the blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, they would have anyway, but I don't know. I just think it's a great story all around. I love this cover. So that was the other great thing. So the original series was 20 issues, and I think this wound up being 30 something, because the Marvel comics are shorter, 22 pages, as opposed to the 32 that ELFQUEST was originally published in. So it's a little bit of a reformatting. The book is smaller. ELFQUEST came out in 8.5 by 11. It's also colored, and then the original covers were painted, and so these are all new covers in a more traditional, pen and ink, flat color, which is so great, because it gives us more Wendy Pini art. And I love this cover. I think it is so iconic. I love the pink logo against the yellow fire. It just makes it totally pop. And, Wendy just really goes for it. I mean, she's trying to give us as much as she possibly can to show us the world of ELFQUEST here. We get Cutter and Skywise, the Wolf Riders, and then the charging elves in the background. We've got a glimpse of the trolls underneath. I mean, it is so cool. And this must have been cool, too, to do a Marvel corner box art, of your own creation, when you're a Marvel fan in love with Jack Kirby's art, and to see your own creation come to Marvel. I mean, I can imagine how exciting that must have been. So very cool. Fire and Flight, written by Wendy and Richard Pini, art by Wendy Pini. It would eventually, I think, get relettered, but I think this is still Wendy's original lettering, which she said she is a terrible letterer, and I completely disagree with her 100%. So it does not list a colorist, so I'm wondering if Wendy colored this, and I'm guessing she must have. Why wouldn't she, right? And it is so cool. I love it so much. I mean, it just really hit the ground running. It's so funny because I love to see kind of like the evolution of Wendy's art, because it definitely, like, see all the like little minutia, the detail, almost like a rapidograph kind of effect, which is giving me a little bit, like, especially in panels like this, like an R. Crumb kind of vibe, which is funny because, you know, her style I feel would get a lot more slick as she would go through. And she cites Kirby as one of her influences. So I think of, you know, Joe Sinnott being an influence as well. And that her line would definitely become more refined. But it's interesting, the juxtaposition of seeing that evolution, because this is very much in line and just perfect for, like, you know, fantasy art. And I think it obviously looks terrific. I always love that panel. I mean, you talk about like the power of Kirby. When I say like Wendy doesn't hold back in her art, she doesn't hold back in the story either. Like, you know, everything is here is so good. Like, there is such a, you know, gravity to it. And what a great storyteller. I just think like it is so action packed and like just so dramatic. I love this transition here too. This is so great. This just gives me such a thrill to look at this, guys, for like the first time in a long time. It is, if you could see the smile on my face, it's quite big. Just beautifully drawn. Just beautifully, beautifully drawn. Every single panel. So much thought and detail. And just like, I love, you know, when I talk about art and, you know, knowing how to draw, and like all the elements are here of like, you know, like good comic book storytelling. You know, you're getting a variety of, you know, character size, close-ups, you know, establishing shots, and just all the necessary stuff is here just to, you know, I feel like, you know, like so much thought and care went into it, almost like, and I'm so grateful for that, because it's like the preservation of something that's important. You know what I mean? Just like panels like this are just so iconic and stay in your mind forever. And the art is just so beautiful and thoughtful, and I just love it. I feel like she never phoned it in. Like, it just never lost its quality. It probably only got better as time went on. And I have to say, you know, we talked about discipline and scheduling and deadlines and things like that. And I think that when your nose is to the grindstone as an artist and you're just churning out pages like this, and what a workload, my God, you know, they would have to like come up with a story, and then she's doing like the layouts. I think even storyboards first, not storyboards, but like really rough layouts, and then moving to, you know, more finished pencils, and then letters and inks probably. I love this panel here. That is so fun. Like, you know, it's such a great, I was thinking about that just looking at their little power signature, for lack of a better word, I guess, you know, like when they're sending. And that's what I love about comic books. You know, those instantly recognizable things that just bring you. And I just love seeing Cutter and Skywise. I love Skywise so much. He's so cute. Little platinum blonde. Adore him. I love fun panels like this. I know it was probably a bitch and a half to draw, but that is so great. But that's what makes comic books like so good and iconic. You know what I mean? And there is a merit there. Like, people are so dismissive of, like, I don't know, you know, this must have taken forever to draw that panel. And like, you just turn the page and it's done. Essentially it's just another panel to propel the story forward. But that's the beauty of the combination of art and storytelling and writing and bonkers. I mean, you know, did Wendy, when you were drawing these pages, did you think you would have like bubblegum ads facing your art? And can you think of anything better? I love this too. I remember, see, that's one of the things I loved about, that stood out for me as ELFQUEST, you know, as one of my first independent comic books. I definitely felt different in a lot of ways. And I think some of that was like in the imaginative page layouts and storytelling. You know, I feel like Wendy wasn't afraid to sort of, you know, like stray from the grid a little bit and like just create something that, you know, It's truly beautiful. Like, oh my God, I love that. Like, you talk about, like, great use of negative space and spotting of blacks. I know I'm so stupid, but I was just going to say, I really want to see this in black and white. I mean, that was my introduction to this art in the first place. And I told Wendy, and I'll say it 100 times over, I don't know. I, like, as many great colored versions as there have been of this, nothing will ever hold a candle to the black and white for me. What a great panel there. Wendy's tribute to Jack King Kirby, her trolls with their big Kirby feet. That is so great. I love that. Look at her. Like, so much expression and, like, just... That's the other thing you need as a comic book storyteller. Like, you can't have just, like, grimacing faces all the time. ELFQUEST. So cool. I mean, does it get any better than that, guys? ELFQUEST and Marvel. So great. So exciting. Stay tuned for way more ELFQUEST coming our way. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit like, and I'll bring you more soon.